Ah, rainy days. A perfect excuse to spend the day inside doing a little drawing and self-improvement. Drawing. That's better. Okay, yep, we'll do that. Okay. I've never been particularly great at drawing mechs, robots, Transformers, heck, even Iron Man suits tend to give me problems a lot of the time. And I'm a big advocate for if you're bad at drawing something, draw it a lot more until you're not bad at it. And since my Inktober in a Day videos did such a good job shaking me out of my funk of only doing digital art and starting to like traditional art more, I figured, hey, let's do the same kind of thing, but with robots. So today, I'm just gonna draw a bunch of different robots, mechs, Transformers, whatever, to get myself more comfortable drawing them. I'm gonna start the day doing traditional, end the day doing digital, and hopefully somewhere along the way, I'll become a lot more confident with my robot and mech drawing. But let's not delay, because there's a lot of drawing to do today. Let's jump into it. I really gotta dress up this room more if I'm gonna be making videos in here more often. That'll have to be a later date. Maybe I'll make a video out of it. Who knows? We'll see. Alright, so first up, I'm just gonna do a drawing based off my instincts. Just whatever comes to my mind when I think mech, robot, transformer, that kind of thing. And that'll be a good baseline and see where we're at to start with. Now, the first thing that came to my mind to draw was a transformer. Not any specific transformer, and I don't even know what vehicle this thing would be able to turn into. Just kind of that basic shape kind of character of a G1 style transformer. And it was funny, it was pretty easy to get into the flow of drawing the shape of a G1 transformer because it's very similar to my old character style for when I was doing Multiverse Tales. Just that big blocky forearms and hands and lower legs and feet. Transformers are kind of just inherently shaped like that. So this was pretty fun, and it almost felt like a throwback for me to draw a character in this style. The one part of this that I wasn't super thrilled with was the gun that he has for one hand. It's just a bit wonky shaped for that, at least. I probably should have used a ruler, and it's not a particularly interesting design. But besides that, I'm happy with this one. I definitely, after those Inktober videos, I'm feeling a lot more confident and comfortable with my ink drawings. And for a drawing that was supposed to be kind of like a warm-up, I'm pretty happy with how this ended up coming together. Okay, so admittedly this is a slightly better base than I thought I was starting out with, but this is still pretty similar to what I usually draw. It's a pretty humanoid character, and I just kind of added some robot-ish bits to it. There's definitely a lot of room for improvement. So to try and shake things up a bit more, I'm gonna step away from totally humanoid-shaped stuff and look at some inspiration from this book of character design and art design from Starcraft 2. I've never actually played Starcraft, but there's so many awesome mech designs in here, and I want to try something that's a little bit more, still humanoid-ish, but with more tank, spaceship kind of elements to it. So I'm going to flip through this book a little bit, get some inspiration, and then jump into another drawing and see what I can do. So I was flipping through this book for a while, looking at designs from all over. Obviously, I was specifically looking at mech stuff, but I was reminded that there's a lot of really cool stuff in there under the Protoss and Zerg sections as well. I gotta reference this book more often for inspiration. I love the art in it. But anyway, I finally decided that I wanted to do something a little bit like a spider-legged bot, and I messed around with a bunch of different possibilities for that. Nothing was quite feeling right. I even cracked out my iPad and started doing some rough drawings in there just because I was using a lot of paper trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And finally I figured out a character shape that I kind of liked, and I switched back to paper and went after that. It was a bit more humanoid than I thought I was going to go with, but it's still pretty tanky looking. And it had been nerve-wracking when I was starting this one, messing around with the initial shapes of the character, because I was worried I just wasn't going to figure out something I liked. But once I finally got this base shape idea down, it was a breeze, and it was almost kind of soothing doing the designs for this one, because there would be parts where I'd think, oh, there's not enough detail in this section, and then I'd just add in some kind of bevel or some kind of metal sticking out, some kind of shape inspired by the stuff that I was seeing in the Starcraft book, which I had open next to me while I was working to get ideas for just different random little design elements and bits. And I was trying to not do my usual thing of just adding a line with a slightly dashy line beside it to make it look like a bit of a beveled streak in the metal. That's something I do a lot for metal, and I tried to avoid doing that with this character just because it's my go-to thing, and I thought it would force me to try adding some design elements that aren't my usual go-to thing. Alright, I'm pretty happy with how this is going. Looking at these two, I might actually still like this Transformers one better, but I am a fan of cartoonier stuff and simplicity, so that might be why. But anyway, I'm gonna do one more piece of traditional art, then switch over to digital and do some colored stuff. But for this one, I'm gonna make something very inspired by ChasingArtwork. And if you're not familiar with Justin Curry's work, his stuff is so cool. His style is so unique and angular. He does all his work in Adobe Illustrator, and you can see he does a bunch of really cool fan art of robotic versions of pop culture characters, and I kind of want to try taking a crack at that. I know he's done most of the characters I'd want to do. Maybe I'll do something that he's done before, but I don't know. His stuff is just so cool. I feel like I've got to take a crack at doing something kind of like this, but on a traditional medium. Let's see what I can do. I don't know why, but I really wanted to do a Dragon Ball Z style character. And I know for a fact that Justin Curry has done Goku because I could kind of picture it in my head, though I avoided looking at it so I wasn't stealing any specific designs from a Dragon Ball Z character he's done. I decided to draw Vegeta as this sort of Justin Curry style robot, and it felt so good. This was another case where looking at his designs, I was like, oh, he draws the characters with pretty big forearms and hands, and especially big lower legs, and then really skinny waists a lot of the time. That was kind of fun. Just messing with proportions a lot of the time is a blast. And this is another case where it was just really good looking at how someone else designs their robotic characters, because I could just see different elements that recur in his work, and I could go, oh, okay, I really like how he puts this on the arms or that on the legs. And it's just like with that last drawing of the mech, adding more little details into your head of things you can put in different sections of a robot character and just new design elements so that your designs are going to become less repetitive. And obviously rendering wise, this doesn't end up looking anything like Justin Curry's art because he's working in Illustrator, not doing line work for the finished piece, presumably. It's hard to tell exactly what his process is, but I was kind of just trying to copy the general shape and some design elements, and I think it was successful. I really like how this one ended up turning out. Wow. Okay, that guy turned out super cool, so I think I gotta try another character inspired by ChasingArtwork, but done digitally, because I really want to take a crack at another of these, but I want to do some colored stuff, and I'm way better at doing coloring on, digital. So let's jump over to that now. So a few people on this channel have been requesting that I do some Power Rangers artwork, and I hadn't yet, and thought, hey, this is a good time to do that. So I decided to turn the Red Ranger into a sort of Justin Curry inspired mech robot kind of character, and I'm glad I did that. It was a lot of fun. It meant I could work in some subtle T-Rex-ish elements into the character. That doesn't come across that much. I try to work it into the chest plate of the character a bit, but mostly it's just in the legs. I do those bent backwards sort of legs that I always forget what it's called. Someone reminded me of it a while back, digigrade legs or something like. I don't remember, I'm sorry about that. But with this one, something weird was happening. For part of it, I thought it was that I was just trying a slightly different digital process. This is more on a video production side. I found when I'm watching other people's speed paint digital kind of videos, I'm usually more interested in it when they're not zooming in and out all the time, which is my usual process if I'm not recording the screen, and even often when I am. But it's just, that can, especially when you really speed it up, that can be really dizzying for people. And if you leave the character in place in the same spot and draw over it, it's a lot cooler to see all the elements get built up onto it. So I tried to zoom in and out as little as possible, but that meant I couldn't get in close on areas like the head and do the inking as finely as I wanted and do as intricate details. So that was throwing me off a little bit and made this image take a bit longer. But the other part of this that was kind of weird was I spent something like 3 hours on this, and it doesn't end up looking any more detailed than a usual drawing that I'll spend about an hour on. If I'm doing a single shot of a character on this channel, it'll usually be between 50 minutes and an hour and a half. But this just ends up looking about as good as my average character on this channel, and I sunk 3 hours into this thing. So I don't totally know how that happened, but overall, you know, it's still, I still like how it turned out. Well, that took way longer than it should have for how it ended up turning out. But anyway, it's kind of a nice day out now, so I'm gonna go stop being a shut-in for a little bit, and I'm gonna jump back into drawing robots and mechs tomorrow. But for you all, it'll be like 3 seconds from now. But anyway, yeah, see ya.
Tomorrow.
And we're back into it. And I know what I want to do today. I liked that Transformers drawing from yesterday, but it was very much a warm-up drawing, and I want to do a nice, big, more fully rendered Transformer. So today I'm going to spend as much time as I need and just do a really cool, full-color, digital drawing of a Transformer. Let's see where that takes us. There were a lot of parts of this character that felt really good in the design process. Up on my other screen, I had images from Alex Milne, who's a Transformers artist, that a lot of people have recommended his work, and his stuff is really cool looking. And then I also, on my bed next to me, was flipping through the book of Transformers Fall of Cybertron, the art and designs for that video game, which I'd actually bought last year when I was working on that Bumblebee Transformers animation video. But anyway, I love the designs in that. They're like updated versions of the G1 Transformers design, so they're the same kind of shape, just a little bit more, I don't know, sci-fi-y, modern video gamey. I don't know what you want to call it, but I love the designs in there, so I was referencing that, and then I was just working in elements from all the mechs that I drew yesterday, and it felt good. I felt like I had a lot more variety in terms of the different kinds of details I could put places. I was using some of my old methods and a lot of my new stuff, but I also figured out what was up with the drawing yesterday and why it didn't look more detailed than my usual stuff, because this character kind of turns out like that too. And I should have realized this when I was working on it, but I just didn't really sink in until I did the inks for this one, then moved on to coloring. See, when you're leaving something black and white, all of the details are as high contrast as possible. It's just either black or white, so they're really standing out. But when you add color onto that and shading and lighting, then a lot of the inks and cross-hatching and whatever can get hidden in shadow and color, and it's not as high contrast. So as much as I love coloring stuff, the mech drawings were looking a lot more detailed when they weren't colored. Usually I do minimal line work and then do the detailing in the coloring and shadows. But for this, it just felt right to do a lot more detailing in the inking, but then that all gets hidden in the coloring stage. So it was an interesting thing to realize, and something I'm gonna have to keep in mind going forward. But overall, I do think this is a pretty cool looking Transformer. But again, I don't know what kind of vehicle he would turn into. I probably should have thought of that more. I was thinking just kind of space car kind of thing, but anyway, here's the finished result. Okay, I'm happy enough with how that turned out. Obviously, for something I sunk 5 hours into, I wish it had turned out a bit more detailed looking, but overall I still think it's pretty cool, and I learned a good lesson. I've got to work on my coloring technique for when I'm coloring more detailed line art. And figuring out a new weakness gets you one step closer to having a new strength, as long as you work on it. And the art I made for this video definitely succeeded in getting me more comfortable drawing robots and mechs, and I actually think I really like drawing them. I've got to do this kind of video more often, where I just take something that I'm bad at drawing and draw it a whole bunch until I like drawing it. Obviously, it takes more work than this. I've got to do a lot more drawing mechs until I get really good at it. But this is a good base, a good start, and yeah, overall just feeling good. Anyway, everybody, that's all for this episode. Let me know what you thought of this format. People seem to really like A, when I was doing more traditional art in the Inktober videos, and B, the sort of vloggier sort of feel to it, trying to mix some elements of that in. So let me know what you thought of the format of this video. I liked how it felt. I gotta up the production value a little bit, but overall, this has been a lot of fun. Anyway, I'm Christian Pearson. This has been Popcrust Studios, home of the nerdiest art videos on YouTube. If you enjoyed this, please leave a like, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notified when videos are coming out, and I can't think of anything else to say. So thanks for watching. Goodbye, everybody.